Hello everyone, welcome back to Oni-chan. Our main character today is named Yu. He has a superpower, which allows him to possess someone else's body within 5 seconds, and he often uses it to peek at girls, or to punch the faces of those guys he dislikes. However, the most practical use of this ability is still copying someone else's exam papers. Yu continuously possesses the smartest students in class, to see and copy their answers. Thus, he's always the top student in the school. The entrance exam for a prestigious school is approaching, so Yu disguised himself to investigate who the top students are in other schools. Thus, he continued using his powers, and once again became the top student, in front of the jealousy of these guys, because they see him as a prodigy. So, he has attracted many admirers among the girls, and there are often many girls confessing their feelings to him. However, Yu always used the excuse of being busy with studies to reject them, but in reality, he doesn't study at all. It turns out that the person he likes is Ayumi, the school's beauty queen. So, Yu began to planning. He create an accident, and Yu succeeded in gaining Yumi's affection. Thus, she invited him to go out for cake, making the guy ecstatic, standing and laughing in the middle of the class. Suddenly, Yu was called up to the student council, because there were suspicions that he had cheated in the exam. So, they immediately forced Yu to retake the exam, which made Yu furious, but Yu had no choice but to retake his own test. At this point, he used his superpower to secretly look at the answers. However, it turned out to be a modeling magazine. Suddenly, another girl appeared, introducing herself as Tamori, coming from a different school, and she said that she knew his secret. This shocked Yu, but no matter how much he tried to deny it, Tamori managed to bring out the evidence. Realizing the situation was not good, so Yu immediately started running away, thinking he had managed to escape. At this moment, Yu felt someone was still chasing after him, causing chaos all over the street. When running to a riverbank, Yu noticed there was a guy wearing glasses chasing him. Thus, Yu was caught by the guy, causing him to fall straight into the river. At this point, the guy told Yu, his name is Takajo. He has the ability to move at an incredibly fast speed, but he can't stop precisely where he intends to. That's why the guy always ends up hospitalized. Suddenly, Tamori reappeared, forcing Yu to transfer to her school, and they told him, in this world, there are many people who possess special abilities, just like him, but these powers only manifest during adolescence, and then disappear, which surprised Yu a lot. At this time, because he was constantly being teased by Tamori, Yu grabbed Tamori's camera unexpectedly. Unexpectedly, she vanished, and continuously punching Yu. At that moment, Yu just realized that she had the power of invisibility. When he got home, Yu's lively younger sister, she named Ayumi. Ayumi was surprised to see Yu injured, and she said that someone had already taken care of the school transfer procedure for them. So, the next morning, both of them would move to a different place. At home, Ayumi always acted as Yu's cook. Every day, she only served Yu one dish, even though Yu was really fed up with this dish. But Yu also had to make an effort to praise it as delicious, so that Ayumi would continue cooking for him. By the next morning, both had moved to a new house, making Ayumi very happy. At this point, both came to find Yu, surprising him. Both said they were here to help Yu pack. He hadn't had a chance to refuse yet. Ayumi immediately agreed with joy. This made Yu very uncomfortable with Tamori. So, they started tidying up. At this moment, Tamori was very friendly with Ayumi. She immediately turned invisible to show her. This surprised and pleased Ayumi a lot. While Yu felt very frustrated, the next morning, Yu and Ayumi started going to school, and he continued to savor Ayumi's rolled egg rice. But as he stepped out, he met Tamori and Takajo who had come to pick him up. This surprised him a lot. At this point, they told Yu, all the students in the school have superpowers like him. Their purpose in establishing this school, it's to protect people with superpowers, because they would be taken by the government for experimental purposes if discovered, and found out about Tamori's older brother, who has also been taken away, which surprised Yu. She told him that, wants Yu to join their student council, to control those who use superpowers recklessly, similar to him, and it's a way to protect them. As soon as he arrived in class, the guy immediately put on his handsome face to impress girls, but suddenly saw Tamori and Takajo in the same class with him, which shocked Yu. By noon, because he was tired of Ayumi's rolled egg rice, so, Yu was invited by Takajo to have lunch together. Due to being lazy to queue up, so, he demonstrated his ability for Yu to see, immediately rushed to get food. Although it made the whole room a mess, but at least he managed to get food for both of them. At that moment, Yu realized that Tamori actually had no friends. Suddenly, She came to inform both of them, to gather at the student council. At this point, another guy with damp, long hair appeared. He immediately dripped a drop of water onto the map, saying that someone with the thoughtography ability had been there, and then he left. So, Takajo explained to Yu, he has the ability to search for people with superpowers. Tamori began leading the group to search for the person with the thoughtography ability, because at the student council, they won't be punished for skipping classes. So, they can move around freely. Tamori and Takajo actively asked for information about everyone around them. Meanwhile, Yu just stood around, seeing it as a leisurely job. Suddenly, Tamori identified the target. So, she immediately asked Yu to go with her. That's when both of them discovered this guy. But he ran away. At this point, Yu also used his power to restrain that guy. While Tamori was looking for evidence, Takajo also rushed to provide support. At this point, Tamori had figured out that it was indeed the thoughtography ability. It was the ability to peek at pictures of girls. At this moment, the guy told them he had bought a picture from someone named Udo. So, they continued to search for Udo. This surprised Udo, as Tamori appeared in front of him, and learned that he needed money. Hence he used this power, realizing his superpower had been exposed. So, the guy threatened Tamori, that he had used this ability to peek at Tamori's bath photos, and threatened to circulate it publicly. But Tamori wasn't afraid at all. So, Yu immediately possessed Udo, and gave the photo back to Tamori, surprising him. When he accidentally attacked her, Takajo promptly jumped in, catching the arrow. So, Tamori was safe. At this time, Tamori had spoken to Udo. If he continues to use this power, when discovered, he will be taken for experiments. This made the guy scared, and he promised not to use this power anymore. When they left, Yu immediately asked Tamori what would happen if they were caught for experiments. So the next morning, she led Yu to meet her brother. At that moment, Tamori shared her past with Yu. She lives with her mother and her older brother. They are very close to each other. Tamori's older brother loves playing music and is about to start a new music project. But suddenly one day, their mother announced that she would enroll both siblings into a boarding school, making the older brother very angry, because that way, he couldn't pursue his passion anymore. But their mother knelt down, begging both of them. So, both agreed. Tamori realized that this school was also very normal. But every day after class, they were taken for examinations, and Tamori couldn't find her older brother, because he had been taken for experiments. A year later, Tamori encountered her brother again, but he didn't recognize Tamori anymore. It was only then that she realized this school was fake. So, Tamori escaped from the school. At this point, both went to the hospital, and Yu has met Tamori's older brother. Seeing that he had gone insane, it immediately surprised him. When he calmed down, both took him for a walk. Tamori let Yu know that she met a good person who helped Tamori study at this school, and took her brother to the hospital. By night when Yu came home late, Ayumi had this displeased look. But his younger sister quickly became cheerful again and cooked for him. At this point, Yu started to worry. Ayumi might also have superpowers like him. The next morning, Ayumi woke up early again to cook for Yu, which made him utterly fed up. Upon arriving at school, Takajo promised to treat Yu to lunch. Then the young man started bleeding again. But when he got to eat lunch at school, it made Yu very happy again. Suddenly at this moment, they continued gathering at the student council, because the long-haired guy found another person with superpowers. It was the power of psychic and flame. Instantly surprised them all, because this person could possess both superpowers. So, they all began searching for clues about that person, and they found out that the person they were looking for was named Yusa. She is a famous idol of Takajo. When Tamori discovered a suspicious person, she was attacked by him. That's when Yu used his power, possessing him, and Takajo attacked him. But Yu was the one who felt the pain. At this point, with Tamori's coercion, thus, the young man had to confess the truth. He was hired to find Yusa. So, Tamori called an ambulance for him. Suddenly, another young man appeared, knowing that Tamori's group was searching for Yusa. At this point, Tamori said she also had a superpower similar to Yusa, surprising the young man. After Tamori proved her ability to him, the young man agreed to lead them to meet Yusa. He led them to a hidden house. When Takajo saw his idol, this immediately made Takajo excited. At this moment, Tamori told these two young men know that Yusa possesses psychic abilities. They can allow the deceased to enter his body. This surprised both of them, so they told Tamori. Yusa has an older sister named Misa, who passed away 6 months ago. Suddenly, Yusa changed personality to become Misa. She immediately went and kicked this guy's nut, for daring to talk about her in front of strangers. Seeing Misa's ferocious personality, which made everyone afraid. At this point, Misa calmed down. So, the guy told them, Yusa is being threatened by a gang of thugs, because she knows their corruption secret, when she accidentally took a phone. So, Tamori promised to help them escape from that group. At this point, Misa returned Yusa's body. By evening, Yusa had arranged to meet with that gang of thugs, and they threatened her to return her phone to them. This made Misa angry, so she took control of Yusa's body. She immediately used her powers to attack them, and asked Yu's group for support. They cooperated well with Misa, which made that guy scared, and he kept getting punched repeatedly. Finally, he ran away. He dared not bother Yusa again. At this point, Tamori suggested to Misa to let Yusa transfer to study at her school. This made him uncomfortable, because knowing that when Yusa's power disappears, then he won't meet Misa again. So, he told Misa his feelings, and they bid farewell. By evening, Yu returned home late, making his younger sister uncomfortable. But when she found out that her brother was friends with Yusa, it made the young sister very excited. The next morning, as soon as he woke up, Yu was once again treated to Ayumi's morning preparation, with her miraculous sauce, before going to school, causing the young man to want to hide the sauce bottle away. Upon arriving at school, Yusa moved to study in the same class as Yu's group, making the students in the class very excited. The most fervent fan here is still Takajo. Suddenly, the whole group had to gather again, because the long-haired guy discovered a new target. So Tamori immediately discovered that the young man possessed the supernatural ability to control objects. He could alter the trajectory of the ball. At this point, Tamori came to advise him not to misuse this power. Otherwise, he would be taken away. But the young man still pretended as if he didn't know anything. So they had to demonstrate their powers to prove it to him, and challenged him to a fight. If Tamori's group wins, then he has to listen to them. Thus, the young man agreed. At this point, Tamori's team was ready to compete, but thanks to his own ability. So, the young man always scored points ahead of Tamori's group. Realizing the situation wasn't good, Tamori decided, tell her whole team to use their superpowers. So Yu continuously took control of the ball playing young man's body, causing him to constantly miss, while Takajo was dashed against the wall, and taken straight to the hospital. Misa and Tamori, on the other hand, played the ball very well. So, they kept scoring, and with the determination of the entire team, Yu's team emerged victorious, causing much discomfort to this young man. At this point, he told them, he used this power to help his friend, during the major competitions. But when Tamori explained everything to him, so, he agreed not to use this ability anymore, and play baseball using his own skills. Suddenly, Tamori told Yu to try taking over his body, but not letting him know the reason. By the evening when he returned home, the young man continued to enjoy the miraculous sauce made by Ayumi. The next morning, when Yu went to school, he discovered that Tamori was being bullied by another group of girls. They continuously attacked her, making Yu feel very strange, because she didn't resist, and he didn't step in to stop it. Suddenly, they received a notification, and gathered together again. So it turns out the long-haired guy had determined the location of the next person with superpowers, making Tamori very excited. Because this person possesses the ability to fly, the whole group will go to the mountains trip. So, Tamori immediately took Yu to the supermarket, to buy barbecue supplies. At this point, the whole group had started heading up the mountain to set up camp, waiting for the person with the flying ability to appear. So, the entire group began cooking together, making them very happy. By evening, not seeing Tamori, Yu went to look for her, and found her sitting alone. So, Yu stepped forward to have a conversation with Tamori, and asked about the song she always listens to. Tamori immediately let Yu listen to it, which made Yu's mood very pleasant, because Tamori knew that Yu also resonated with this song. So, Tamori gave Yu her music player. The next morning, the whole group went fishing together. At this point, Yu didn't know whether they came here to play or to carry out a mission. Finally, after 2 days of camping, a young man appeared. He tried to find a way to drive them away. So Tamori realized that he was the one with the ability to fly, which took him by surprise, because Tamori knew that this mountain was where he practiced flying. If the entire group stayed here, he would come to find them on his own, because he couldn't practice flying. At this point, Tamori had angered him. So, that young man fell into her trap, and he had to use his flying ability. But Tamori recorded it, when he rushed to grab the camera, and had the intention to escape. So, Yu immediately possessed his body, and he realized he was floating in midair. When he started falling, Yu tried to control the flying ability to stop himself. In the end, the whole group managed to capture the young man. So Tamori told him, stop using your powers, because after a while, This ability will disappear on its own, and you could be taken for experimentation. In the end, he agreed. So, the whole group continued to fulfill their mission. In the evening, when Yu returned home, he encountered Ayumi's displeased expression once again. But this time, he managed to escape his little sister's miraculous sauce, which made Yu very happy. Suddenly, Yu noticed that Ayumi had caught a cold, so he was very worried about his little sister. The next morning, the long-haired guy continued to discover a new target, the one with the collapse power. Yu immediately realized that person was Ayumi, and Tamori also found out that Ayumi was sick. So, the whole group decided to visit Ayumi, but they didn't want Takajo to come along, because Ayumi was also a die-hard fan of Yusa. So the whole group went to Yu's house. At this point, they were afraid that Ayumi would be shocked when she saw Yusa. So, she dressed up in disguise. But when he entered the house, Yu discovered that his younger sister also had 3 friends over. This kid is the one who has a crush on Ayumi. His name is Oikawa. But he got rejected by her, a talkative girl, along with another girl speaks less. Her name is Konishi. When they all leave, Yu realizes that this girl is very strange. It's Tamori's group's turn to visit Ayumi, but she immediately recognizes Yusa. So, Ayumi immediately had a nosebleed, making Ayumi very amused, because she was getting a lot of attention. At this point, when everyone has just finished dinner, Yusa had something to do and went home earlier. Only Yu and Tamori are left. She gets angry because Yu left her to wash the dishes. So, both of them had to wash the dishes together, but Ayumi immediately teased him, as if they were dating. When it was time for Ayumi to rest, Tamori found out that she often has nightmares. So, Tamori asked Yu to inquire about Ayumi's nightmares, and they could learn what the collapse power was. Yu began asking Ayumi about her dreams to find out more about her ability. At this point, the younger sister told Yu that she often dreams of destruction and cracks. The next morning, Yu shared this information with his group, but they still had too little information. Therefore, Tamori told Yu to continue interrogating Ayumi at home. By this time, Ayumi had recovered, but she was confined at home, that making her uncomfortable. Despite this, she still found ways to secretly run to school. This surprised Yu. As soon as Ayumi arrived at school, Oikawa immediately invited her to eat, but she refused. When the kid continued to cling to her, Ayumi was rescued by her friend. Meanwhile, Yu's group was trying to find a way to infiltrate her school. At this moment, Ayumi encountered Konishi. It turns out Konishi has feelings for Oikawa, so she strongly dislikes Ayumi. This made her angry. She took out her paper-cutting knife, and had intentions of attacking Ayumi. When Ayumi was cornered, and she couldn't run anymore, she immediately attacked Ayumi. Suddenly, her ability began to manifest, causing the school to start collapsing, and Ayumi fell down. When Yu's group had just arrived, that's when the whole group realized that this was Ayumi's collapse power, making Yu worried. So, he immediately ran to find his younger sister. While trying hard to dig, suddenly, a rock hit Yu. At this point, Yu regained consciousness in the hospital. He immediately inquired about Ayumi's condition, but he received the news that Ayumi was passed away. This shocked Yu profoundly. From that moment on, Yu seemed like a lost soul, only remembering his younger sister, and he cried, because he hadn't done anything for her. Since then, Yu has been lonely at home, eating instant noodles. Now, even if he wants to, he also couldn't eat Ayumi's sauce ever again. At this point, even though Takajo and Yusa brought food to eat with him, Yu don't even want to meeting them, because he just wants to be alone right now. Suddenly, the security guard opened the door to let Yumi visit Yu, and she was very surprised because there were only noodles on the floor. Despite Yumi's attempts to advise, Yu remained indifferent to her. Seeing Yumi determined to make him go outside, made Yu angry, and he chased her away. Suddenly, when preparing to buy more instant noodles, a social welfare group came to find him, to force Yu into psychological treatment. So, Yu immediately used his ability and escaped. At this point, Yu just wanted to go far away, because he didn't want anyone to find him. Since then, Yu only ate and slept, locking himself in a corner. When bored, he played games, trying to forget the pain of losing Ayumi. He even argued with the thugs, just to win a gaming device back, and they took him to an alley. At this point, Yu used his ability to beat them up, but this time, Yu's personality completely changed, ready to torture others. The next day, they found more accomplices to deal with Yu. Yu continued to use his supernatural power to attack them. He even threatened the gang leader. Since then, he continuously fought with the thugs, as his source of enjoyment. When Yu was about to try a stimulant, Tamori appeared just in time to stop him, because Tamori had always been by his side. Watching him, Tamori also blamed herself for Ayumi's death. Thanks to Tamori's advice, Yu agreed to have a proper meal with Tamori. Although he still felt uncomfortable, at this point, Tamori led Yu to Takajo's house, and started cooking for him, making Yu remember Ayumi. When he saw the rolled omelette rice in front of him, it surprised Yu, because its taste was just like what Ayumi used to make. So, Tamori told Yu that she had found the secret recipe at his house, making Yu remember the rolled omelette that Ayumi used to make for him. He ate it while crying. At this point, Yu's mood improved, so he agreed to return to the student council with Tamori. The next day, Yu returned to normal, and he started going back to school, immediately attracting some envious looks, because some guys were jealous of the closeness between Yu and Yusa. But encountering his lively class made Yu feel happier. Come lunchtime, Takajo continued to bring food for Yu, accompanied by a bleeding head. At this moment, Tamori called, so the two guys had to stuff their mouths with rice, and run to where she was, thinking they had a new target, but unexpectedly, it was to see Yusa's new MV. This made the hardcore fan guy very happy. Suddenly, Tamori said that she had 2 tickets to see Jiendov concert, the music group she likes the most. So, Yusa and Takajo chose Yu to go to the concert with Tamori. Yu had to agree to go with her. When they left, he accidentally encountered a visually impaired girl. So, she chose Yu, and made him take her out to eat. At this point, Yu learned that her name was Sala, a singer from the Jiend band. This excited the restaurant owner, and he immediately asked for her autograph. After they finished eating, the girls sensed that Yu was feeling sad, because he had lost someone, surprising Yu, and she told him to share his feelings with her. So Yu told Sala about his sister's story. Then Yu brought Sala home to pay respects to Ayumi. Suddenly, Yu suggested that Sala should meet Tamori. So he immediately called Tamori. Unexpectedly, she showed no interest in meeting Sala, and only liked their music, leaving Yu feeling helpless. At this point, Yu suggested to Tamori to have her meet Tamori's brother, hoping it might help him regain consciousness. So Tamori agreed. Then Yu continued to take Sala out to eat, making the girl very happy. At this point, they both went to the hospital, and learned that Tamori's brother was going insane, surprising the girl. But Sala still approached him, and used her singing voice to help him calm down. Unexpectedly, it was truly effective. It helped him remember the name of his sister. This made Yu very happy. Afterward, Yu said goodbye to Sala, and he also realized that he had started caring about Tamori. So the next day, Yu spent 3 hours picking out clothes to go to the concert with her. Seeing Tamori looking very cute made Yu feel super shy. Both of them then went to the music performance. At this point, Yu felt she was very cheerful, unlike her usual cold demeanor, making him also feel very happy. At this point, Sala's performance also began. Suddenly, when hearing this performance, memories began to emerge in Yu's mind. Memories that he had long forgotten. Back then, Yu and Ayumi were in a research institute. Yu was a fan of the Jiend band, and he often meets a scientist who loves playing games. The scientist spoke things that Yu couldn't understand. This was a research institute for people with supernatural abilities, and they had an older brother named Shunsuke, who had the ability to travel through time, so he was confined to a separate room. Only Yu and Ayumi were together, but Yu always made plans, along with the long-haired guy named Kumagami, to help free their older brother. Suddenly, Ayumi and Yu were separated, and they were captured. This made Yu very worried about Ayumi. Suddenly, the scientist arrived to rescue Yu, and told him that Ayumi's supernatural ability had manifested, because her ability was too dangerous, so they planned to eliminate Ayumi. The scientist told Yu that only he could save her, surprising Yu, because he knew the true nature of Yu's ability, which was to seize the superpower of others. So, Yu immediately ran to rescue Ayumi, and took the extrasensory ability from this guy. Using it to locate Ayumi, on Shunsuke's team, they also took action. So, Yu immediately used his extrasensory ability to contact his older brother, and inform Shunsuke about Ayumi's situation. Yu ran to rescue his older brother first. Suddenly, they sprayed sleeping gas all over the room. But a guy with the ability of penetration appeared, and told Yu to steal his powers. So Yu took his ability, and continued to run to rescue his older brother, because only his ability could change the world. When he arrived at Shunsuke's place, Yu immediately freed him. Now it was Shunsuke's turn to use his ability to change the past. At this point, Yu regained consciousness, and saw Tamori. Suddenly, Kumagami also arrived to find him, because he knew that Yu had regained his memories, and he said that Yu could save his sister. This surprised Yu. So Kumagami led Yu to their secret base, to meet his brother. This made Tamori very excited. Finally, Yu was reunited with his older brother, but he was still quite bewildered, because he hadn't fully remembered everything. Tamori, on the other hand, was very happy, because he was the one who helped her and her older brother escape from the research institute before. At this point, Shunsuke continued to tell Yu that when he returned to the past, he was delighted to see his two younger siblings. So, Shunsuke began to plan to find Kumagami, making him unaware of who this crazy guy was. But then, Shunsuke told Kumagami everything, and even revealed his nickname, Pooh. So, he believed it and took Shunsuke to meet the remaining members. Although they were still suspicious, Shunsuke disclosed all the secrets and abilities they had, making the group start to trust him. At this point, Shunsuke told them about what had happened going into the future, and he started to plan, gathering all those with superpowers, to protect themselves. But after a while, he realized that no matter how many times they tried, the result was still being caught. So, he had to find another way. While celebrating a birthday with Yu and Ayumi, he happened to see a lottery program on TV, and he realized that what they lacked at present was money. So, he went back to the past once again, and continued to find his group. This time, they would make a lot of money by buying lottery tickets. But every time he time traveled back, his eyes began to blur, and he realized, if his eyes couldn't see anything, then he wouldn't be able to time travel anymore. Unexpectedly, people continued to be taken away. Shunsuke realized that he had to establish a high school, so that he could create a cover to protect them, because all those with superpowers, by the time they graduated, their powers would be lost. But this was Shunsuke's last time travel, because his eyes could no longer see anything. So this time, Shunsuke bought a school, and he could be at ease. In the evening, suddenly Shunsuke brought his friends to the house, to meet Yu and Ayumi, and asked for their help to erase the memories of both them, because now he had to act in the shadows, and didn't want to involve his two younger siblings. At this moment, it surprised Yu a lot, because he had learned the whole truth. Suddenly, his brother suggested that Yu take his powers, so that he could go back in time to save Ayumi. Realizing that he could save Ayumi, so, Yu agreed. He immediately took Shunsuke's powers, and went back to the past, before Ayumi's accident. Seeing his sister sleeping in front of him, made Yu very happy, and he let everything proceed as usual. Yu realized that this kid had harmed his sister. At this point, Yu told Tamori that he had time traveled here. Surprisingly, Tamori easily believed Yu, and she promised to rescue Ayumi with the whole team. Later, when they returned to their room, Yu took away Ayumi's collapse-inducing powers. The next morning, when Yu brought Ayumi to school, the whole team also arrived. So, they started implementing the plan. But before they could do anything, Takajo was taken away. Yusa and Tamori were also discovered. Thus, they were chased by the whole school. On Ayumi's side, this kid was preparing to retaliate. When she was cornered, and about to attack Ayumi, Yu appeared in time, intercepting this kid back, and immediately used the collapse power to threaten her, with the cooperation of Tamori, which frightened her, causing her to run away. Finally, Ayumi was safe. Yu was very happy for saving his sister. At this moment, Kumagami also came to find them. He was surprised that Yu knew his nickname, Pooh. So he knew that Yu had regained his memories. They led both of them to meet their brother. At this point, Ayumi still didn't recognize Shunsuke, and Yu explained to everyone what had happened, how he had returned to the past to save Ayumi. Then the brother led both of them to visit the research institute about superpowers, and met the scientist again there. At this moment, he explained to them that, in fact, their superpowers were considered an illness, caused by a comet named Charlotte, which arrived on Earth 12 years ago, triggering the manifestation of superpowers in children at the onset of puberty. But currently, they had developed a vaccine to prevent the next generation of children. They won't have superpowers anymore. So Shunsuke told Ayumi and Yu to stay here, to protect them. Ayumi quickly adapted to everyone, finding it very exciting. While Yu was playing gambling and losing all his money, suddenly, Kumagami discovered another person with superpowers. So, he had to return to the academy immediately. When Yu insisted on going along, he was rejected because he currently possessed the most powerful superpower. But at this moment, he was deeply missing Tamori. While taking Kumagami away, the driver betrayed them, forcing Kumagami to go to another location with him, because his family was being threatened. That's when they appeared. Kumagami realized that they were foreign terrorists. At this moment, they attacked Kumagami, and captured him. It turned out their purpose was the information of all individuals with superpowers that he was holding. Although they beat him so badly that his teeth fell to the ground, Kumagami remained adamant, refusing to reveal anything to them. So, they brutally tortured him relentlessly, unconsciously. He revealed all the information. Then they started to take action, breaking into Tamori's house. But they were discovered by her and fought back. Despite that, she was also captured. At this point, they called Shunsuke, and informed that they had captured Kumagami along with Tamori, urging Shunsuke to immediately hand Yu over to them, threatening that he should not time travel, because they had planned this since the new school was established. If they discovered any alterations, they will immediately kill the driver's family. So, Shunsuke told Yu everything. Suddenly, Yu felt frightened at this moment, because he thought that he couldn't do anything alone, which caused Yu's collapse power to manifest. So, Shunsuke immediately embraced Yu and told him to calm down, and said that if something went wrong, Yu should return to this moment. Now, Yu remembered the moments with Tamori, which strengthened his determination to rescue her. The driver then took Yu to meet with them. So, they agreed to release the driver guy's family, leaving him only able to apologize to Yu. At this point, Yu immediately took control of their bodies, and discovered that they didn't have weapons. Suddenly, a girl ran out to attack Yu, causing him to lose one eye. Yu realized that he couldn't use time travel with one eye. So, Yu was about to use his collapse power. But when they said this power would affect Tamori and Kumagami, Yu immediately used his object control power to attack them. Suddenly, the girl stabbed Yu in the shoulder, which caused him to activate his own collapse power, destroying their base. When the brothers group arrived, there was only rubble left, and the terrorists had been defeated. At this point, the group found Yu. Although injured, he was safe. Suddenly, Shunsuke noticed that Kumagami was severely injured, because he had protected Tamori, causing Shunsuke great sadness, and Kumagami passed away in Shunsuke's arms. At this point, when he regained consciousness, Yu lost control, but with a tranquilizer injection, he calmed down. The whole group then visited him. Yu was relieved to hear that Tamori was safe, but when inquiring about Kumagami, they immediately scolded him for using his superpower recklessly, and it resulted in Kumagami's death. Yu was blamed by this guy. The next day, Takajo, Yusa, and Ayumi visited Yu every day, and brought him food, making Yu very happy. However, Yu realized that his brother was deeply saddened, losing his closest friend. Then, he discovered that his brother was just like him when he lost Ayumi. Shunsuke told Yu that the foreign terrorists, currently targeting individuals with superpowers in Japan, causing him great concern. When he returned to his room, Yu encountered Tamori, making him greatly surprised. Yu then recounted everything to Tamori, expressing a desire to use his powers for something useful. Tamori suggested that Yu should take control of all superpowers in the world, to save everyone, but that will turn him into a destructive machine, and it's extremely dangerous. So, she discouraged Yu from doing it. When Tamori was about to leave, Yu stated that he would do it. Suddenly, Yu confessed his feelings to Tamori, saying, "I love you." This left Tamori bewildered. As they often argued, suddenly, Tamori said, "I will wait for you until you complete your mission. Take control of all superpowers in the world. By then, we will officially be together." So, both of them made a promise to each other. Tamori allowed Yu to take her superpower. Later, Yu informed his brother about his upcoming actions, even though he had tried to prevent it, but because he saw Yu's determination. So, Shunsuke agreed, and he gathered everyone together, to let them know about Yu's plan. When Yu left the hospital, Takajo and Misa came to him, telling him to take their powers, because they knew it would be useful for him. Yu agreed to do so. In the evening, before leaving, Yu met Tamori. She gave him a simple English notebook, to help him during his journey. Finally, Yu departed. At this point, Yu arrived in the Philippines. Thanks to the English notebook Tamori provided, he could communicate with the locals. He bought a list, the list of superpower users in the country. Yu realized he needed to find someone with the search power, to easily locate others. So, he stole the mind-reading power from a young man, surprising him, and thanks to this power, Yu learned the whereabouts of the person with the search superpower, stole his power, and discovered that by looking at the map, he could find everyone easily. Thus, Yu began to seize all superpowers in this country. Then he went to Egypt. At this point, Yu started gaining notoriety with the name the One-Eyed Reaper, making everyone terrified. But each time Yu stole a new power, he had to learn how to use it. In the evening, Yu reported the situation to Shunsuke, making him relieved to know that Yu was okay. The next country on his list was Afghanistan. However, he discovered that all superpower users were gathering in one place. because they had kidnapped children to use their powers for war. That night, Yu stole all their superpowers. The next country he visited was India. But suddenly, Yu was attacked. They continuously fired bullets at him. Yet, he fought back against them. At this point, Yu arrived in Peru, and found someone with healing abilities. Knowing that this girl was a good person, Yu still had to steal her powers. Now, Yu realized that if he healed his eyes, his time-traveling ability would be restored, and he could save Kumagami. But Yu didn't do that, because he needed to focus on his mission. Sometime later, the consequences of stealing powers appeared. It made Yu go insane, and he couldn't control what he was doing. Despite trying to restrain himself, Yu's memories gradually faded away, causing him to attack everyone. But thanks to Tamori's notebook, Yu realized he still had a promise. He had to seize all superpowers in the world and return to her. However, Yu no longer remembered who she was. Sometime later, he became a terror to everyone, with the nickname the One-Eyed Reaper, making everyone who saw him terrified. By now, Yu had no memory left. He only knew that he had a mission to fulfill. He was almost going insane, and he kicked Tamori's notebook away. But Yu quickly picked it up, because he realized it was a precious item of his own. Although he didn't know whose notebook it was or where it came from, Yu started wearing the notebook around his neck. Yu continued his journey, stealing the superpowers of everyone he encountered, even attacking military bases, to save all the kids used as experiments there. Currently, Yu possessed the power of a god, as he had stolen thousands and thousands of various superpowers. Now, there was only one person left, but Yu was very exhausted. Suddenly, he was attacked, because Yu is currently wanted. Everyone wants to catch him. Suddenly, a girl stepped forward to help him. When the assailant targeted her, Yu intervened, and realized she was the last person with superpowers. So, Yu stole her brave superpower. Now, Yu realized he could go home, even though he didn't know where home was. However, the assailant continued to attack Yu, rendering him unconscious. When the assailant intended to take Yu and claim the bounty, Shunsuke and the others arrived in time to rescue him. At this point, he regained consciousness, and saw Tamori by his side. But Yu no longer recognized her. Tamori understood the immense pressure Yu had endured throughout the ordeal, and she said, "I am your girlfriend," surprising Yu, because he suddenly woke up with a girlfriend. The video ends here. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to support Oni-chan in future videos. Thank you for watching. Love you all.